welcome to the webinar series hosted by Happiest Health as part of Wellness Webinar. I'm Dipali Malya and I will be your host for today's session as we discuss making fitness enjoyable for children through dance. They all say all work and no play makes any child a dull baby. While play is mandatory hour in any school curriculum, dance is an interest-based activity. Dance can be like a fitness task with a whole lot of fun while learning dance. This webinar will discuss how to make fitness enjoyable for children through dance. The panel will also discuss the physical and mental health benefits of incorporating dance into any child's fitness schedule. Experts will share how parents can promote physical activity in a fun and creative way, especially through dance. And this session thus talks about what are the various benefits that dance can bring to children. First up, I will introduce our first panelist for the day, Ms. Tripura Kashyap. Ms. Tripura Kashyap is the author of the book, My Body, My Wisdom. She's an exponent in various forms of dance, including jazz, modern dance, dance theater, and much more. She's had national and international training in all these forms of dance. She's a pioneer in dance movement therapy. And being a performing artist, she has been a part of Chandralekha Dance Company, and Kashyap has worked as a movement therapist with various institutions, such as halfway homes, special schools, treatment or rehabilitation centers, retirement homes, and with individual clients for over 3 decades. She's one of the first dance trainers to steer the movement of dance as a therapy in India. We welcome you, Madam Tripura.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next panel member is Ms. Arunima Gupta. Arunima Gupta is the art director and co-founder of a Cochin-based dance studio named The Flow. She's a trained dancer in various dance forms, including contemporary dance, Indian classical dance forms, Western dance, and many other dance styles. She's been a mentor, choreographer, and fitness expert for more than 3 decades and trained a host of young dance enthusiasts. She's known for her national and international performances representing the prestigious Kolkata-based performance dance company called the Dancers Guild. Of the various dance events she organized in the port city, Kochi, the most notable one is the Dance Fair, a contemporary dance festival that brought artists and amateur dancers as well on the same platform, which is an immense feat. With much delight, Happiest Health would like to welcome Ms. Arunima Gupta.
Hello,
Welcome.
and thank you for having me here.
Thanks to both of you. To begin our discussion, I now request the audiences to post any queries that you have in the chat box. We will address the questions during the Q&A session towards the end of the panel discussion. We will now begin our session on making fitness enjoyable for children through dance. My first question would be to Ms. Arunima Gupta. As a dance mentor, you have trained many students who pursue dance for their passion or performances. Now, do you think parents consider dance as a form of physical activity for their child? And what is your views on this?
Thank you for the question. This is something I would really like to address also. Yes, to begin with, parents do consider dance, also along with dance, different sports, as a first step to the physical development or well-being. Physicality always comes first. So there are a lot of, inquiries or our children want to come during the first 5 years of their life to come into dance, to learn something. And at times I feel that the inclination is more as to engage the child productively in something which is going to make them exhausted, because I think parents have that challenge to get the children exhausted and keep them engaged somewhere. So that's how it actually starts. And slowly, then they realize how dance is changing the physical body. Of course, I'll come to the other parts, the mental, emotional body later on. But initially, it starts with the physical body, and then they understand the concept of well-being with dance. But again, if I'm going to talk about dance as a fitness form, dance is one of the fitness forms. There are many other things also at the same time, with sports, swimming, gymnastics, lots of other things. So probably the movement towards dance starts with the physicality and then slowly goes towards the intellect. That's how it happens. There's a curve that grows up.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Gupta. Now, my next question would be to Ms. Kashyap. We understand that you also come from a very traditional dance school, that is Kalakshetra, and you have trained many, many people to build themselves into a better person. Now, how do you see dance as an enjoyable experience for children?
Depends on the way that you teach dance, the methods you use, the techniques you use. Because when you teach dance to children, especially, it needs to be non-linear. It needs to be light. It needs to be fun. You need to tap into their imagination, give them movement puzzles to solve. You need to make it more interactive, give them the agency to decide what do they want to dance about. And that's when I think it's a really enjoyable experience for them. In my experience, I feel like a lot of creative dance works very well with children. I'm sure Arunima would agree also. They like structured dance. Of course, it depends on the age group of the children. But I find in creative dance, when you introduce rhythm work, when you introduce a lot of props to work with, and they like to memorize what they learn, I feel they really enjoy it. But I think it really depends on the facilitator who's teaching the dance. So we need to train more people to work with children. It's not the same as teaching adults dance, right? It's very different when you work with children. And I think dance is a beautiful digital detox. It's a very good antidepressant. Yeah, it's the most natural antidepressant I've come across. And in fact, we run Sintai, for which I work, we run courses for teachers on something called TDIE, which is a therapeutic dance in education. So the whole idea is, how do you take dance to classrooms, and how can teachers make it part of their teaching? And just one more thing I want to say before I end this segment is that it should be process oriented, not performance oriented, right? Every month, kids have to perform in schools, and then it becomes like you're learning a dance, you're going on stage and you're performing it. So where is the process of understanding yourself, of understanding who you are? So I think a process oriented dance is very important.
Yeah, I mean, I think I totally agree with what, and we understand what you're saying, like when it comes to just a performance versus understanding the whole process of knowing how, the whole dance has to be performed, right? So and you also mentioned about it also depends on the age of the child. Now, this is where I would like to ask, Miss Gupta, in your experience of having a dance academy, training so many children, what is the, parents would obviously want to know what is the ideal age to enroll a child into a dance school?
Yes, I think before I answer this question, I would totally go with what Tripura just said right now. How to make it enjoyable for the children. It's also totally up to the facilitator and the kind of dance that you're teaching. So there is, of course, when it comes to dance, there is technicality and there is a very unstructured, relaxing kind of dance also. So where she comes from, where I come from, we have had very technical backgrounds also. So that technicality, when it has a lot to do with the way you think, to understand. The technical classes, I think, should begin after the child is 5. They understand what is happening. They understand the information. They can process the information, and the kind of discipline the class has. So any kind of dance, when it is introduced like a syllabus or maybe a structured dance, should come later. When the child is in class 1, they understand. But before that is fun dance. And there is no age group for the children to join a dance form. They could be unstructured classes, having fun, play way. And the most important thing, as she said, is tapping into their imagination. Their imagination is fertile. They go way beyond. Like when I teach an adult class and when it's children class, I can see the difference. You tell them, you stand like a stick and you fall like a stick, they just get it. They know how to drop their bodies, they come onto the floor. An adult will think 1,000 times before releasing and to coming down to the floor, because by the time the bodies have stiffened, the mind have stiffened, they can't do that. But children, oh my God, they are like, they're a sauce you can really work with. So that's it. So, movement. I mean, here, I'm not going to talk about just dance, but movement. Movement is always there from birth, whether it's a 7, 8 months old child. They just try to get up, they try to move. It's movement. So from movement, we technically guide them into a dance body where there is a structure, where there is a kind of a discipline that comes later. But for movement, there is no age. I get inquiries from parents who have got children who are 2, 2.5, 3. And we put them into unstructured content of dance, but it's a lot of playway. They can run around, they can fall, they can get up, they can jump, and hardly any structured musicality. They can't get musicality. They don't know left, right. They don't know what is a left leg, right hand, left leg, totally confused about it. But it's there in the body. The enjoyment is there. So that's how it goes.
Yeah. So Ms. Gupta says there is no age to begin dance. You can begin as early as your movement begins, right? So Ms. Kashyap, they say dancers are better workers. There are a lot of studies which, talk about how dancers are better workers, being more productive. And in contrary to this, many parents hesitate to enroll their child into a dance or music class because they fear that they might lose their, focus on academics. So what would be your advice to those parents?
If you look at it, childhood is not about sitting in one place for 4 to 6 hours. It's about movement, actually. You learn through movement. And I think movement and dance are a great outlet for children. Yeah, the physical, the emotional, the mental, it's really an outlet. It releases, vents out frustrated emotions, feelings that children cannot express through words. And also think about it. What makes school interesting for kids? Let's not think from the adult's point of view. Let's think from children. For example, my daughter remembers all the cultural activities she participated in, all the sports that she took part. She doesn't really remember the academic part with a lot of enthusiasm, So I feel like this is what it's the culture, it's the art, it's sports that makes schools come alive, and it keeps children really animated. If you only have academics in schools, you will have a lot of dropouts and disinterested children. And we all talk about the mind-body connection. I mean, we talk about it in academics and dance. And the idea here is, if you can make the person, if you can make the child more creative with the body, the same is going to percolate to the mind, right? So the body in a way opens up the mind. And I feel like we need to have more of recreational dance, creative dance in schools, so that there is enough social bonding that happens, right? In a class, for example, the teacher tells you not to talk to the other children in the class, whereas in a dance class, you're allowed to interact with other children. And that's the beauty of it, that they get a chance to work with other children. And I think it's, dance can also be linked to academic subjects, right? You can teach math through dance, science through dance. For example, a dry, topic like solids, liquids, and gases from chemistry can actually be done with children in a group, in a game called Walking in a Maze. So in that sense, when children dance and sing and draw, you get very well-rounded personalities rather than a very unidimensional nerd, as they're called, and friends making fun of them. I think we really need to get out of this whole thing that academics are the only way out. Yeah.
Yeah. So Ms. Gupta sometime back spoke about, stand like a stick, fall like a stick, and children would very proactively do it and very readily do it. Now, I would like to know from you and your experience of teaching dance to so many children, right? What are your challenges and advantages of teaching dance to children compared to adults? Can you like
Right.
elaborate on it and make us also know, how is it to teach dance to children?
All right. Challenges, personally, what I feel, the only challenge is to keep physically active and energetic like them. They're a bundle of energy. They can run, they can fall, they can do anything, they can jump. They come with so much, it's like a stream gushing inside the classroom when they come for dance classes. To keep a facilitator, a teacher, to keep that energy level is not going to be easy. So before you have a children's class, you know that you need to have your mind, your body in place, because you can't feel impatient, you cannot feel drowsy, you cannot feel, oh no, I'm not going to look at you today because I'm too tired. You can't tell the children you're tired today. So as an adult, as a teacher, you have to be prepared for that. Okay, at the same time, there is another challenge also when we're talking about dance classes and they're running around, they're a pool of energy there. So now as a trainer, you also need to know that it's not going to be out of your hand, does not go wild. So some kind of control, but the control has to be enjoyable control, something they look forward to. Okay, so control that, there's a balance between being fluid and being again solid. So that has to come in. So that is a big challenge for, I think, teachers, because you just can't be playful with them all the time and you can't be strict. So as a facilitator, you need to know where to draw the line, where to tell them. And I feel when I teach children, at times it's good to tell them, now you are really jumping too high and everybody might get upset. So come and stand. So if you give them a good feedback, which I always believe, when you're working with children, give them a very honest feedback so that they know what they're doing. Most of the time, if the child is going out of hand and becoming a little difficult to, contain, they don't know what they're doing, the children. So tell them and they understand. They're going to be the most easy people then. And that's one challenge in a children's class. With adults, you don't have to worry at all. They know they're going to come and stand in their own places. For me, if I've got 20 children in a class, I make them stand in a line and I look around, I see all of them have gone away. So to take another measure to make them again stand in a line. So challenging, of course. The next is emotionally. You have to always be present for your child, for the child, student there, because they've got stories to tell, emotions to say, and then you know what is going behind in their, life also. They have their anxieties. An adult may not understand. They have their anxieties, the fear, the shyness. So as a teacher, as a dance teacher, they open up to you. Maybe they do not do that with the parent, but they're more accessible to the teacher because they feel, oh, she's jumping with us, so I can go and tell my problem to her, but maybe not a parent. So emotionally always aware, you have to be available for them. And what I see, what really works, the advantage, that only advantage I see, there are two, of course. First is me. I'm healing myself every day I work with a child, because the beauty, the love is so pure. Their enjoyment, the smile, the way they connect with you is so pure. You don't get that anywhere. So when you work with a child, I think as a facilitator, you are doing your own therapy. That's one, with everybody who's working with a child. I think, Tripura ma'am, you'll agree to that. And the other thing, which is a mentor, as a dance mentor, which I see when you're working with children, and there I will totally give the dues to the parent, they continue with that education. Not many drop out most of the time. So they believe in that education, dance education, and they continue with that education. The dropouts are less, and you can see the growth of a child. But in an adult class, I'll be very honest with it. If I start teaching an adult contemporary, I have not gone more than a year. If one person comes one day, the same person will never come the next day. There is no adult who just come for a full month together in a class. Never. They have other things by the time this is an entertainment, but not as a learning. But children remain. Children stay for over 10 years, 12 years, 15 years. I have been with my dance, school for so many years, and that's where my development has been. And that, as a mentor, you see the growth of a child. You can see the curve going up, which is extremely rewarding as a teacher, as a mentor. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, that is, I think we all relate to this. Tripura ma'am was very, very much like nodding every now and then. Now, I would like to ask Tripura ma'am, now we all know that you are one of the pioneers of dance and movement therapy in India. And today, everybody, most adults are embracing it, wanting to know about it, learning it. When it comes to, children, And also, as a dance and movement therapy, would you like to explain what a dance and movement therapy is and how can it benefit children?
Okay, I don't want to go into the technical definition of what is dance therapy, but
Sure.
I think the whole idea is to get people to express their thoughts, their feelings, images through their bodies. It's as simple as that. Of course, there are technical definitions, but when words fail, when words are not enough, how do people express themselves? And of course, it's through the body. And, for my work, when I came back to India in 1990 and I pioneered dance therapy in India, I kind of had to adapt dance therapy to the Indian context naturally, right? The themes, the props we use, the music we use, the activities, the dance activities, everything had to change from what I had learned in the US. So just to make it easier for myself, I created something called a movement activity basket, in which there are about 45 therapeutic heads or benefits, right? What are the 45 ways in which children, in this case, can be benefited through dance therapy? So I'm not going to talk about all of them, but I'll just talk to you about some of them so that you know that these are the benefits that dance can give. And remember, for each head, for each benefit, there is a solution. For each problem, there is a solution. I call it a capsule, a movement capsule, or a movement, solution. So, for example, leadership skills, I think, is very important for kids, right? So that develops when children work together with each other. Concentration develops. They learn to be in the here and now. They learn to pay attention to what's happening. Their body coordination improves. Different parts of the body work together. So there's a better coordination within the body. Their memory and sequencing, it gets enhanced because they have to learn dances, right? Like Arunima said, they have to probably learn a structured dance in which they need to know what comes after what. And also, I feel there's a lot of passivity reduction, right? Children who've been feeling low, they come to a dance class and they get really energized. So I like to call it a movement energizer. And there's a lot of self-regulation and co-regulation going on simultaneously, which is very, very useful for the children. And interestingly, in dance therapy, it's not just about dancing, but we also have something called verbal reflection. So after each activity, we reflect on what the children felt or what they thought or what came up for them. And therefore, they also develop something called verbal clarity. They learn to express themselves even through words. So interestingly, a non-verbal medium like dance is actually encouraging them to also talk. And apart from this, there's a lot of mental alertness, there's a lot of physical reflexes that develop, and with all this, confidence blossoms. Yeah, children learn to be confident of who they are. And interestingly, in dance therapy or even in creative dance, we have something called bully prevention activities for schools, where you get children to understand what is bullying, the negative side of bullying, and all this you can do through movement activities. And there is a gross motor movement that comes in. I find a lot of children have very closed body attitudes. So how do you open them up? So there are activities for that. And most of all, when you look at all this, there's a lot of physical fitness and strength that comes into children.
It was really I can say that this is like a holistic. We're looking at physical fitness, we're looking at mental fitness, emotional fitness, verbally as well. The child is learning to, like interact, talk, speak, and so many benefits. Now, I would like to ask, we are winding up. Now, this is the last question, that I would like to ask each of the panelists. Having discussed the various facets of, dance as a really beneficial aspect of physical, mental, and emotional fitness, I would like to ask Ms. Kashyap, what is the advice or suggestion that you would like to recommend the parents as to why dance should be inculcated in children early on?
Right. I mean, I think this also brings a family together. For example, I've noticed that children go back to the family and say, hey, I learned this today. Would you like to do it with me? And it'll be great if, in fact, movement rituals are put into place where the child actually dances with her parents and gets the parents involved with the dance. So it also contributes to the family becoming friends rather than mother, father, daughter, son, etc. So in that sense, I feel dance is a beautiful way of bringing people together, and parents should really encourage their children to dance.
Yeah, I think that's the bonding, and the time to bond is something that we're really, really, like struggling and juggling with. And I think this is a well needed, much needed advice. I would like to ask Miss Arunima, how do you think schools can inculcate, dance and promote dance as a fitness, activity for children? Schools,
Yes.
educational institutions for children.
You mean to say schools like educational institutions, right? Yeah, schools.
Yes. How
They
can
actually,
dance
schools
be
are
inculcated?
doing a lot. Like what I've seen from my time to this time, there are so much. There are teachers who, do have specific dance roles, and they do come up with different kind of competitions. Then annual days. There's always something happening in school these days. There is something. There's always something going on that I can see, and physically, children are really good. If you go to see that, there's so much they know. What I see as a mentor, the growth in children and dance. Of course, we're talking about the physicality, the physical well-being, but Tripura will agree with me because it starts from physical, goes to mental, then emotional, and of course, the end is a spiritual journey. And it starts from child, of being a child, and how you grow into an adult. So children who have been exposed to dance, they definitely grow up into a more sensitive adult, somebody who can deal with the problems. Their society, the surroundings better. Their mechanism to cope is always better. So, as an educational, as educators at educational institutions, isn't this our motive? Isn't this our intent? The schools are also quantifying education in a way, giving the grades. It's a different another section of discussion altogether, grades, and even the dance that's happening. There is a competition. There is something, or you can't do, this can't do, or maybe somebody can do better, but it's not holistic. You have to look at the holistic approach, and also the same time how dance is going to develop your intellect. That's the most important thing, because I believe it opens up your creative mind, your imagination, your power to think beyond what you see. And that's something we are losing as a society. I feel so. Because if it's just not entertainment, dance has to be treated as an art form. And the art is through the body. If the art is through the body, your body has to be, absolutely supple, has to be in form. But if you just see it as an entertainment, I think it's also limiting dance in a way. So the same question, what you just asked Tripura ma'am a little while back, I wanted to ask the parents. Like when a lot of parents come to me and say, okay, yeah, there's a lot of studies and, there's a huge stress in school. I think I'll take a drop this year. I said, have you ever thought of dropping out the school in academics? If the child, is not being able to do it well in studies, she's not getting enough marks, you're taking her from a place where she's extremely good. The child is an extremely good dancer, but you're plucking her from a dance school and making sure that she does better, a little bit more in mathematics. Have you thought of giving a drop for the academic? Then they think. You'd inject that thought and the thing. So you're taking the child away from what she or he connects with, taking the superpower, because the superpower the child is now understanding, realizing that he or she is so good with his physical form, and they're turning into a better form. But you're plucking the child out. There's a parents, I feel, they need to be counseled, they need to be spoken to first than the children. Children know what it is, they know what they like, but parents need to be counseled. And I think Tripura can do the best. You have been the voice of dance movement therapy, and all that we are doing is probably taking a lead from her. And a lot of times parents tell me when I ask the parent to put a child in dance or something, they say, let me ask my child if she's interested. How would a 3-year-old, 4-year-old child know that they like dance or not? Would they know they like dance, or they like swimming, or they like baking? At that age, until you're 5, when the child is 5, the parent need to expose the children to a gamut of experiences. By the time they're 6 or they're 7,
Experimenting.
you know what is important. They'll know, they'll follow the path. Not everybody will be good in dance, but some will remain, some will go to somewhere else. But as a parent, you need to have an active role in shaping your child, and it's very, very important. And not give TV, because I feel at times parents just throw a dance class or a cooking class or a swimming class just to engage them so that they have that capsule time to go out for something else. But you're not thinking more. So everything is up to the parent. The child will just follow. That's what I totally feel.
So now we have a lot of questions from the audience. I would like to just pick out one or two questions because we are running short of time. And we have a question from one of the participants who asked, dance offers various styles. There are a lot of styles today, right? Like my child has a lot of options to choose from. How can we select the most suitable dance style for children before enrolling them in a dance class?
Shall I? Tripura ma'am, would you
Any
like
one
to
of
say?
you
Okay.
can go ahead.
All right. That's a wonderful question. And I do get a lot because my school has hip hop, has got totally unstructured dance, and I do also have ballet and contemporary. So that's a good question. And as a parent, the parent need to understand the inclination of the child, what makeup the child is of. So we usually ask the parent and the child to come and observe a class. So there are children who get very intimidated probably by the silence of a ballet class, or maybe the stretches they do. They don't want to. The child does not want to explore that side of stretching the body beyond the comfort zone. So, and they want a very relaxed atmosphere in dancing. So we give children what absolutely fascinated about the fact that, oh yes, I can go up on my toes, I can bend my body. They have that inclination. So then, and some of them have this artistic make also, so they can choose another form. And then at times I feel if you start any form of dance, after a while the child wants to explore, and there is no watertight compartment in dancing. If you have learned maybe classical, and once the grammar of a classical dance language is in your body, you can do everything. The flexibility, the strength, everything comes. And then they explore on the second stage of the life. So, but yeah, coming to your point, I mean, there are many choices. So if you really want to understand what you want to take up for your child, you need to understand what is the make that he or she has. Are they more, physically exhaustive? They want to go for something which is more playful, or they would like to go for a structured or an artistic class. At some time, at most of the times, a parent also have their own fascination or the inclination towards a certain art form. It's good to go through a little bit of YouTube to see what these styles are, because not many know what is a hip hop, what is a Latin, what is a contemporary, what is ballet. They wouldn't know. So do a little bit of homework and you'll know what you actually really want to look for.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Gupta. Now, my next question, there's one more question from the audience. So the audience asks, do you think participating in dance classes for my child can enhance her social skills, by fostering teamwork or in any all these forms when it comes to communication, teamwork, interpersonal interactions? Do you think it will help my child? So this is the question by one of the participants. Tripura Kashyap ma'am, would you like to answer this question?
I think it's been a long time since I taught dance to children. I basically work a lot with teachers. I train teachers to work with children. So I think this is better if Arunima answers this question, because she's still doing this. She's still at it.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. I think I can say this. Yes. Of course. Social interaction, first thing. You in a class where you have 20 children, some children are proactive. The moment you let them in the class, they come and sit in the front of the teacher. Some child wants to sit at the back. They don't want to come and sit in front of the teacher at all. They don't speak. I have a child in my class who does everything to perfection, but never speaks at all, because she prefers to be in that zone. So what happens? I give her the comfort zone. Don't want to push them out of the comfort zone immediately, but as they develop the strength, the nuances of dance, then the confidence comes in, and probably they want to talk and express also through language. As Tripura said, you can also express through language, though it is a non-verbal art. And the synergy in the class is beautiful, because we have a lot of activities, games, and as facilitators, we know we pair them up in different ways in groups, 3-4 people coming together, children coming together, and they exchange their ideas, and slowly that comes out. A child who already is proactive will slowly elevate towards leadership skills. they become the leader of the class. And there is always a growth up. For the child who's never spoken, who's a quiet child, will now start expressing her. So this is how it goes. From if you start at a certain point, the curve always goes up. And I have seen my children; they're great friends. And for anything, whenever we have a performance, the dance school friends are very important. They have their other side of growing up together. So yes, of course, it's always yes.
Okay. So we've had a lot of questions from the audiences, but this is how much we can take in today. And thank you, panel members, for the insightful knowledge that, like you shared with us. Enroll your children to the dance class, see how they, grow physically, mentally, emotionally. That's the curve that, our experts today talked about. It's a growing curve. It's a learning curve. Dance can be fun. Dance can build confidence. Dance can help your child engage in a teamwork, communicate and grow, right? Thank you so much. Thank you, audiences, for patiently listening to the session. With this, I am Dipali Malya signing off. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.